Welcome everyone to Pontos Fathom Press. This is our Pontos Fathom Books Reviewed series where we walk through some of the books that are published here at Pontos Fathom Press. Today we're going to be talking about August Moldenhauer's The Genealogy of Cthulhu. It's volume 1 of the Cthulhu Journals out of Lovecraft's Providence, volume 1. We've done a video introduction of the whole series, which includes Archaeology of Cthulhu, Volume 3, and the Psychoanalysis of Rillier, Volume 2. So if you want to check out that video, that talks about the series in general. Today we're going to focus in on the actual Genealogy of Cthulhu itself and focus on the topics in this book and what this book's about. So we'll kind of walk through the book a little bit, look at the table of contents, do some readings from it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. If you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe. So let's get into it. So Genealogy of Cthulhu, Cthulhu Journals out of Lovecraft's Providence, Part 1. I read the introduction to the series, the preface to the series in that series video, but maybe I'll read the introduction to this book and walk us through the table of contents here. So again, let's start out with this quote from Colin Wilson. It says, "For what it's worth, I venture the opinion that the really important work on the Necronomicon will be carried out not by magicians, but by followers of Carl Jung, who will regard it as a document describing so far unsuspected layers of the unconscious mind." And this is a topic that gets discussed in this book as well, where we start talking about extra bodily chakra points. So let's kind of go through the contents first. There's a preface to the series, an introduction out of Providence, which I will read from. There's some acquisition authorship of the Cthulhu notebooks, the question of authorship, referencing in the Cthulhu journals, and then there goes into an analysis of the Cthulhu journals. So again, it starts looking into the idea of Cthulhu and looking at it in relation to some historical texts on water. First of all, we have Heraclitus the Obscure. We all know the famous Heraclitus, you can't step into the same river twice. But then there's the idea of the parting of the waters from Genesis. And then there's the Leviathan, that overlap between biblical Leviathan and Cthulhu. The Gnosticism about the descending from the Logos down into the density of matter. And then it goes into ideas of floods, Noah. Also Hobbes' Leviathan. So we go into those kind of concepts. Then there's this concept of the unringing of the bell, where it's sort of like a Gnostic Big Bang, looking at Cthulhu with the fall of Lucifer, and also the Council of Nicaea. And then finally there's looking through Dagon in the Bible and in occult literature, and some visions from Atlantis and catacombs. Finally, of Lovecraft's Necronomicon, and some interpretations from the book. So we have this chapter on Octopus, Dragon, Man, the Great Old Ones, and Theosophy, the Rillian language and clairvoyance, and some facsimile prints and transcriptions of the texts. So I thought we'd go into, as you can see in the layout here, there's the actual texts. Here you have a picture of Dagon, a sketch of Dagon, Syrian fish god. And Cthulhu does represent kind of a Jungian archetype of the fish god or the sea monster, the Leviathan. But what I wanted to move ahead to was talking through the introduction called Out of Providence. So the introduction to Genealogy of Cthulhu. This current book, The Genealogy of Cthulhu, is the first in the series aptly titled Cthulhu Journals out of Lovecraft's Providence. The series will focus on the original writing of the journals themselves, out of Providence, and finally resting place being from Cthulhu, in Southeast Asia. The third reason was a series titled Lovecraftian Reason for the deep resonating link with the word genealogy. If this were a work of literary criticism of fiction, its genre could be defined as extension or homage to Lovecraft. But if its limits to the work were literary sense, there are also some themes shared by the Cthulhu journals and the fiction of Lovecraft. So as we know, Lovecraft's the author of The Call of Cthulhu, The Color Out of Space, Dunwich Horror. But where the Cthulhu journal manuscript author begins to continue some of these works of Lovecraft. So it's in that genre of weird horror fiction, cosmic pessimism, and then the origins of a long family tree of human thinking and writing. When we say Out of Providence, the title may just easily be From Beyond Our Planet, because the Genealogy of Cthulhu reaches into those with a gaze into Lovecraft's. What we see is his dreams first, but then we have to wonder what he's actually channeling there. Anthropologically, however, indicators of something far more insane seem to at work. Some truly Lovecraftian echoes of madness visited down on that manuscript. As Plato mentions with the spirit of Thoth, the inventor of writing, he was also the inventor of forgetting. So there is a link between Lovecraft's fiction and that brief, insignificant stroke of cosmic time that encompasses the sum of all human history, a shadow that can only be noticed out of the corner of the mind's eye. Things unknown are glimpsed at, and the vertigo at fathoming the unknowable suddenly fill our thoughts. Things are not written down as Thoth's unintended invention of forgetting, but things that work to unconceal to insignificant minds forgetful of Azathoth's enslaving oblivion. Things that validate the unknowable and ineffable mysteries from beyond, things that came to Lovecraft as nightmares, and things that inspired his fiction, and things that in the end should not be. So there's the introduction to the Genealogy of Cthulhu. There are some interesting passages in here talking about when the stars are right. It says here, this image follows from the idea of unknown and the unknowable. The unknowable is written within the unknown. We may know the unknown in time, but we cannot know the unknowable. However, by understanding the unknown, by learning its topologies and nexuses, we can step toward understanding where the unknowable lies. And the unknowable lies in the penumbra. So this is quotes from within the Cthulhu Journal, Book 1, page 12. The mystery of Lovecraft's inspiration continue on the literary side. We can link him to Lautréamont, Gerard de Nerval, and the writers of The Perverse. However, on the occult side, there are links between Lovecraft and Rudolf Steiner, Guido von List, Carl Maria Willigut, and Madame Blavatsky. And that's also from the Cthulhu Journals, Book 1, page 29. Even though Lovecraft mentions the theosophists like Blavatsky and anthroposophists like Steiner, but I have the sense that he's not quite on board with it. I think he just uses it as a device. But oddly enough, it seems that when he is at his best, he sort of is invoking some of the same things, and we wonder, is it kind of channeling? And I think that's what Moldenhauer's thesis is that something about the Cthulhu mythos seemed to resonate with a lot of people, and that there is some overlap. So we have this part B, when the stars are right. The next detail is the stars being right. Is this merely an astrological cycle, or do the stars being right or wrong refer to a mystical arrangement? A perfect, and again we're quoting from the Cthulhu Journals here, a perfect or imperfect set of conjunctions, alignments that produce either the right physical condition, termed by science as gravitational fields, intergalactic force lines optimized, or a mystical condition where the mystical properties of some astrologically prophesized condition is met or has failed to occur, depending on the relation of stars to deity and to some secret knowledge. Plunging through the sky, this is a literal falling to the earth from another planet, an extra-dimensional transition. as from some negative universe or even some demonic plane of hell? Dreaming, dying, sleeping, and being resurrected have a confused usage here in Lovecraft's texts. I mean, if we jump into Lovecraft's text, you know, he has that famous quote, "Even death may die," right? From Al-Hazred. Perhaps these are part of the mystery rites of Cthulhu, but it is Cthulhu's spells that preserve them in the death sleep, in the dead dreaming, until the day of his resurrection, when Rilye rises, when Cthulhu lives, when he wakes, right? But at the same time, some forces from outside must serve to liberate their bodies. The spells that preserved them intact likewise prevented them from making an initial move, and they could only lie awake in the dark and think while uncounted millions of years rolled by. They knew all that was occurring in the universe, for their mode of speech was transmitted thought. Even now they talked in their tombs. When after infinities of chaos the first men came, the great old ones spoke to the sensitive among them by molding their dreams, for only thus could their language reach the fleshy minds of mammals. So the spells preserved them intact in their dead sleep, but also required external cult members to initiate the resurrection when the stars righted. So there's some readings from August Moldenhauer's The Genealogy of Cthulhu. It is book 1 of Cat 2 Journals out of Lovecraft's Providence. If you're interested, it's the first book of the trilogy. Links below. Also, if you like what we're doing here, you can join our Patreon, where I will be reading the entire book in audio format for one of the tiers. You can check it out in the Patreon. So really appreciate everyone's support. I'm not getting any other funding from this other than this and the Patreon, so it helps keep the channel going, and I'm so interested in doing this for you guys. So, and also let me know in the comments what you think. If you have some ideas for future updates, future podcasts, we also have a Pontos Fathom podcast, which is a topic where we talk about some of the texts that influence our books here. So this month we're doing Cthulhu and Lovecraftian. Next month we'll be moving on to another topic. So I'll probably have a poll out in Patreon too. You guys can check that out. And finally, there's our other channel, which is Pontos Fathom Hobbies, where we go into some gaming and hobby crafts that's inspired by the same reading. So we'll be doing Dune and Conan. Right now we're doing Lovecraft this month. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Thanks for stopping by. Looking forward to starting some dialogue with everyone. And see you next time. You can check out the next video in the link. And talk to you soon. Bye-bye.